Have you noticed something strange? You open your phone for one reason, just one. A message, a reply, a quick check. And somehow, 20 minutes later, you are still there, thumb moving, mind half awake, attention leaking away in tiny invisible pieces. That is not just bad self-control. That is design. And tonight, I want to show you something unsettling. Not in a dramatic conspiracy way. In a documented, research-backed, brutally ordinary way. Because some of the most powerful forces shaping your focus do not look like force at all. They look like convenience. They look like entertainment. They look like just one more scroll. Now, if you love social media, this is not an anti-tech sermon. I am not here to tell you to throw your phone away and disappear into the woods. I am here to show you how the machine actually works. Because once you see the mechanism, you stop calling it a personal failure every time your concentration collapses. A recent 2025 review by Debasmita De and colleagues, written by authors in medicine, medical sciences, and neonatology, describes how prolonged social media use interacts with reward, attention, and emotional regulation systems. Their review argues that AI-driven social media systems personalize content continuously in order to maximize engagement and screen time, reinforcing a feedback loop between user behavior and algorithmic optimization. That phrase matters. Feedback loop. Because most people think they are merely using the feed. In reality, the feed is also using them. Every pause, every like, every second you hesitate on a clip teaches the system what can hold you a little longer next time. You are not just consuming content, you are training the machine that will later predict you. And this is where the first trap appears. The first trap is the feed that never ends. Books end, pages end, episodes end, even a bad meal ends. Life normally gives you stopping points. Tiny moments where you can step back and ask, do I still want to keep going? Infinite Scroll removes that moment. A 2025 peer-reviewed study by Haoping Li, Yishuan Qiang, Lan Gao, Stephanie Yang, Philippe Winter, and Sauvik Das examined what they call attention capture, damaging patterns on social media sites. They explicitly name infinite scroll, notifications, feed recommendations, autoplay, real-time updates, short videos, and cluttered layouts as design patterns that prey on cognitive vulnerabilities and correlate with distraction. In their 2-week field study, participants reported feeling distracted 28% of the time during baseline browsing, and that dropped to 7% when those attention capture features were suppressed. They also spent 21 fewer minutes per day on those sites. Think about what that means in real life. It means your weakness is not simply a weak will. Sometimes it is a missing exit. No page break, no natural pause, no moment of enough. And when there is no pause, there is no decision. And when there is no decision, behavior becomes momentum. That is why you pick up your phone in the kitchen while waiting for water to boil. And somehow, you are still there after the kettle screams. That is why you tell yourself you are resting for 5 minutes, and then lose half an hour to a feed that had no edge. But infinite scroll alone is not enough. If every post were equally boring, you would still leave. So the second trap is more subtle. It is unpredictable reward. A 2025 public health paper by B.T. Sharp and R.A. Spooner from the Institute of Psychology, Business, and Human Sciences at the University of Chichester describes dopamine scrolling as a distinct pattern of digital behavior centered on the pursuit of novel, entertaining content. Their paper argues that this pattern is tied to reward mechanisms and variable reinforcement schedules, which is precisely why the next swipe feels psychologically loaded even before you see what comes next. That is why one bad video does not make you leave. One dull post does not make you stop. Because your brain is not asking, "Was that last post amazing?" Your brain is asking, "What if the next one is?" And that is a very different question. A predictable reward is satisfying. An unpredictable reward is magnetic. That is how slot machines work. That is how some feeds work. And that is why boredom inside the feed does not kill the session. It can actually deepen it, because now you are hunting. Hunting for the funny clip. Hunting for the shocking revelation. Hunting for the perfect comment. Hunting for the next emotional hit. And now we arrive at the third trap, the one that makes all of this even more powerful. Emotion. The feed does not only learn what you like, it learns what activates you. The same 2025 review by D and colleagues argues that prolonged, optimized social media exposure is linked not only to reward pathways, but also to attention and emotional regulation systems. The review discusses altered dopamine pathways along with changes in brain regions tied to emotional sensitivity and decision-making, and it frames the algorithmic optimization of feeds as central to why engagement loops become hard to resist. This is why doomscrolling feels so sticky. Negative information is not neutral information. Threat, outrage, urgency, scandal, conflict, social comparison, humiliation, fear. These are not just topics. They are psychological accelerants. You do not merely watch them. They organize your attention. So you open the app to relax, and within minutes, you are reading about collapse, watching somebody's public embarrassment, absorbing a stranger's anger, comparing your life to a polished fiction, and calling it downtime. It is not downtime. It is stimulation disguised as leisure. And this is where the real-life consequences start to show up in small, humiliating ways. You sit down to read and feel restless after 2 pages. You start a film and reach for your phone during the quiet scene. You open one tab for work and then drift toward a feed before the task has even emotionally begun. You notice that silence now feels empty instead of peaceful. You notice that concentration feels harder, not because you are less intelligent, but because your attention has been trained to expect novelty on demand. That is exactly why this matters. Because attention is not just what you look at. Attention is what your life becomes. What you repeatedly attend to shapes what you remember, what you feel, what you desire, what you neglect, and eventually, who you are becoming. So when people say, "I just need more discipline," I understand the instinct, but it is incomplete. Discipline matters. Of course it does. But it is very hard to win a psychological contest when the environment has been carefully built to dissolve stopping cues, escalate reward anticipation, and keep adapting to whatever holds you longest. And that is why I wanted to say this plainly. You are not imagining it. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are living inside systems that have become extremely skilled at converting attention into time, and time into profit. But the good news is this. The moment you can name a mechanism, you are no longer completely trapped inside it. The moment you can say, "This is infinite scroll. This is variable reward. This is emotional capture. This is a feed learning me," something changes. Because awareness does not solve everything, but it breaks the spell. And maybe that is where taking your attention back begins. Not with guilt. Not with self-hatred. Not with one more promise that tomorrow you will somehow become a different person, but with a clear sentence. This was designed to keep me here. And once you really understand that, your next scroll no longer feels innocent. It feels visible. And what becomes visible becomes easier to resist. If this video gave language to something you have been feeling but could not quite explain, subscribe to the channel, because this is where we break down the hidden psychology behind modern life, attention, behavior, and the systems shaping the way we think. Like this video so more people can actually see it. And in the comments, tell me this. What do you think hijacks your attention the most? Is it infinite scrolling, notifications, short-form videos, or something else? I want to hear your experience. Subscribe if you want more videos like this video, so it reaches more people. And in the comments, tell me what pulls your attention the hardest. Because the more clearly we name these systems, the less power they have over us.